Hi, have you ever wondered why marriages are having a lot of problems now? Why people end up in abusing marriages, and the church has little to help this situation? Have you ever wondered why in this generation we're having a lot of crisis in that area? Hi, my name is Kene, and this is a soul healing series of mine. And today I'm still talking about effective ways, effective deliverance ways for generational cycles. And one of the things that are cycled all the time as a generational issue is either abuse in marriage, broken marriages, or death or sicknesses, or people falling ill in their marriages and all that. And we as a church really need to help people in this sphere. And then a lot of knowledge on psychology and biology and all that will help us as a church. So let's not just be few. We have to know the Word of God, and we have to know how our body works, our mind works, and everything, because they all work together. They all work together, because we will not perish because we lack knowledge. Now, before I start, let me give you this scenario, or let me tell you a little bit of when I was in school. My final year project, was on individuals and societal norms of Africa. You know, what causes tragedy in Africa. And the book I read by Ama Ataido, was I can't even remember the title of the book right now. It's been so many years, almost 20 years now. I can't remember the title of the book, but it was talking about a girl that wanted to get married, and then she was pushing that she would marry this particular guy. And her mother had already checked spiritually, because in African traditions, we actually do some spiritual checking. And the mother had actually checked spiritually that in this boy's family, they're not fertile in this family. So if you get married, you're going to have issues having children. But the girl was so in love, she didn't want to hear that, and she went there. Now, I'm not saying this is a correct format, but I'm saying that they were doing something. They were checking things spiritually. But nowadays, when parents check, is he working? Is she working? Does she have this? Does she have that? And then, or is he like this? What's her character? And we're not checking things spiritually. Now, if I ask you to check something spiritually, I'm not asking you to check for the other person. Check it for yourself, because some people are checking. They'll take pictures and go to somebody and say, "Oh yeah, check. Is it this person or this person?" Let me tell you, if your soul prospers, you will not attract your people who will abuse you in marriage. You will not attract people you can't cope with in marriage, and that could land in divorce. When you see these things happen, the person's soul is broken. And when this person's soul is broken, it easily attracts the other side. And then people, especially in church now, there are narcissists everywhere, as in they know how to hide. And there are people who have other characteristic issues. We all know how to, people know how to hide. And then if you don't check yourself well, you will attract these things. Now, checking yourself well is so that another person, you won't even hurt another person, because you don't even know which one you're carrying. You understand? There are some people that will hurt, and some people that will be people who are actually going to hurt the other person. So which one are you? If you're sincere to yourself, if we're sincere as a church, that is what we need to be doing, not to condemn. We're not checking you out you're not checking yourself to condemn yourself. You're checking yourself to know whether you need to heal. Because if you are broken, you may attract the wrong person to yourself, or you may be abusive to someone else. These two could happen. And then because this too could happen depending on how you grew up. Okay, depending on the environment you grew up in, depending on what you now started believing, what your perceptions are, and all that. You find out that there are a lot of people who are single, especially the ladies, or sometimes the men very few, but especially the ladies. And then a friend of mine said, when you get closer to them, you find out, you sometimes, not all of them, But some of them you will actually say, yeah, this is why the person is single. You can actually tell. So what people need to do, forget about the other person. Check yourself. You may need to heal. It doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you understand that you were broken. You weren't nurtured. You weren't taught how to process life, how to process things. And then TV must have been the one teaching you. And then you carry all that you have learned outside, not the internal real things you're supposed to learn in in a very good environment, and you go and meet somebody else. It's a disaster. And it doesn't mean the disaster is coming from you. It could be from the other person. And the question is, why did you marry that person? So I used to tell myself, this was if that mistake up, it should be, take responsibility and say something must be wrong with me to attract this kind of person to myself. It doesn't condemn you. It just says I need to heal. And then if you can come to that level, you can break curses and make sure your children don't repeat the same. And make sure that your children do not repeat the same. Because if you're just looking at it that the man is a wicked man, the man is a this, the man is a that, or the girl is a this, the girl is a that, and then you don't address yourself, your children will fall into the same hands, because you're telling them it's the man's fault. It is the man's fault. But spiritually, there's something wrong with you. I know this is hard to hear. It sounds like I'm condemning people. Then that means I'm condemning myself also, because I had problems. I had problems too. You understand? So it's not about. It's just the truth that we need to hear. The truth that the church needs to start helping out with. People who are broken, whose souls are broken, don't prosper very much. And even if you know how to pray, okay, we'll pray 7 days prayer and all that, and they will see the man and marry. The truth is that you will still be attracted to somebody who will still do stuff to you, or you may be the one doing stuff. And at the end of the day, it doesn't go well. Either you're managing a relationship. God did not call you to be sad for the rest of your life. God did not call you to die. Let me tell you one thing. If you're enduring things and you're mentally being abused, because now physical abuse is not raining, it's mental abuse that is raining, then you need to understand the strategy of the devil. He knows that physical abuse is right there in plain sight. Now, what he does is mental abuse, where somebody is pretending like they're nice and then they're making you look like the crazy one. You understand? That is mental abuse. And then you're enduring it. And then and the truth is that your soul will not heal in that place. And at the end of the day, you're going to struggle with your finance, your health. A lot of people who have terminal diseases, they say stress is a physical stress. Don't give you much of all the, what gives you much of all those things is your emotional stress that starts the physical stress, and then it now results to illnesses, stroke, high blood pressure, diabetes, all that. You need to heal. Okay, let me take this for example. I always use myself. In my family, my father's family, I found out that my uncles have diabetes and all that, and sicknesses, and we were all like, "No, I'm not going to be diabetic. I'm not going to be this. I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to be that." Trust me, as soon as I turned 40, I had everything almost came upon me. And I started praying and I said, God, break this, break that. And God gave me healing. But He said, you need to heal in your heart, because what causes this thing is not that you're chopping too much sugar. Those things are what aggravates, but actually is that your soul is broken. Actually, you have anxiety issues, you have fear issues. And if these things are not sorted out, this is the result of it. So most people, to avoid anxiety, run away from things, and at the end of the day, you don't live the fullness. You're not exactly happy because you're running away from things that make you anxious. You're supposed to live life. You're supposed to face things and win, not run away all the time because you're afraid to fail. You understand? So the basic thing that we need to do before you marry is to go, God, Lord, do I have things? Do I what's my family background? Am I traumatized? Do I have traumas? Do I have this? Do I have that? so that I can begin to heal. Because why people suffer CPTSD, borderline disorder, bipolar, whatever you mention, is out of a broken soul. And then you're broken because you weren't nurtured. There wasn't proper love in your life. God, there's a reason why you have a father and a mother. God gave us fathers and mothers so that they can nurture you and love you. So don't be hard on yourself, whatever thing they say you have, because the problem is that you were not nurtured. And so God is in the business of nurturing you. If they didn't nurture you, He will bring people who will nurture you and break that thing. So, what the devil actually does not want you to experience is love. So, and because he has legal rights over your life, especially because your soul is still broken, even if you pray, maybe the minimal of what you will get, but you will still suffer there. And then, so what you need to do is heal. Heal is not okay. I forgive people. Okay, no. Healing is to partner with God that this is my problem. And then, like I said in my other video, where I'm talking about the first video about deliverance and all that, you begin to partner with God, change the way you talk. There are self-sabotaging habits. You can even browse the self-sabotaging habits that you may have, and then you start correcting them. You start correcting those things. You start trying to push to do, but you have to do it in partnership with God, because on your own you can't do a lot of things. You can't socialize. You can't be with people. But if you learn to trust God, that trust in God will help you be able to do the things you couldn't do before socially with people. And when you are able to do that, see, those negative people, those people who are still broken and negative in a high sense, especially those who will abuse you, will not be attracted to you, because there is the glory of the Lord is over you. And when the glory of the Lord is over you, those things don't are not, you're not a magnet to them. You find that you're a magnet to people who are safe, who are healed too. But you've got to be healed to be attracted to people who are healed too. So, what should the church do? A young lady, when you get to a certain age, you don't even have to wait. When people get born again and they, have some experiences, then you begin to do soul healing. Soul healing, so that it's not when people get into marriage, you're not saying, the Lord hates divorce. The Lord hates divorce, but He loves the people in that relationship. God is not going to use marriage to kill you. And so, to avoid people making mistakes, we have to start from the beginning and make sure that people don't get into this. And a lot of people need healing. People are coming from broken homes. People are coming from uh, um, uh, 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 family places that were in the occult or witchcraft bloodlines. Why am I saying so? Because if you come from that bloodline, it's almost like you belong to these deities or these gods. And when you belong to a God that is not God, who is love, it is not love that you will experience. You will experience negativity, which makes you have emotional problems. You now find out that you're not patient, you're easily sad, you're anxious, you're this, you're that. It is because it is associated with what the devil wants you to experience. God is love. God is pure. And then when you're on that side, He gives you an experience that you will have to go through. So for some people, if your parents weren't good enough, He will give you people to love you. You must have that experience of love. At the end of the day, at the end of your process of trials and all that, to get into your rest. Your rest is that you must experience it, not manage it. You have to experience it. You will go through that experience. God will have to bring people to love you. Now, this is a knowledge that I don't think churches really, really get it. But why is it that God talk about inheritance? Why is it that God talk about rest? It's not about, okay, heal. We have a way of just saying, so you just heal. How? How will the person heal? We need to explain it to people. You have to go through a process of partnering with God, and God brings you to your inheritance. You're going to inherit people who will love you. It could be a husband, it could be a family, it could be something. But that experience you had before has to be cancelled. It has to be cancelled, but you can only get to your inheritance when you begin to learn to believe, learn to change the trajectory of your life partnering with God, with what the word of God says about you, not what your feelings are saying. Because for some people who are broken, your feelings determine everything you're doing. Your feelings, your fears, your what you see by sight and how you feel determines. But that is being carnal minded. When you are spiritual minded, it's a painful process of change, because now I'm no longer dependent on how I'm feeling. So I may be feeling the worst, but I have to align with what this is saying no matter how I feel. So some people think they don't have to feel anything, that you come to a point you're not feeling anything. Well, over time it learns to reduce. But at the beginning of your fight, your emotions is spiking everywhere. But the thing is to disobey your emotion and go to the other side. So I just hope that if you're a pastor, you just hear me. Your church members, your single people who have stayed single for a long time need to come, and you wonder, why are you single for a long time? Let's check you out spiritually. Let's know whether your heart, your soul is broken, so that you can begin a process of soul healing. What is the process of soul healing? You're going to start with meditation. Take Isaiah, Deuteronomy 28, Isaiah 54, and begin. There are other scriptures, but these are beginner scriptures. And when you begin, God begins to change the trajectory of your life. Then you will go through trials. And from that trials, you get into your inheritance. And that's the way it works. It's not just by breaking a curse and say the curse is broken. No, the person needs to learn to live, because the devil will come accusing the person of not believing God. And you have to go to trials where you can say that you believe God. So I hope it's well understood. So I'll see you. I'm still on my soul healing series. So check out my next video so that you can hear more.